From the time of our arrival in Aotearoa, Māori have created a unique architectural history. Our structures not only house people, but also our dreams, our fundamental needs, and our histories. So what can we tell about ourselves from these buildings? What do they say to us? It's a question I've asked myself constantly. I'm Ro Hoskins, and as a director of an architectural practice, understanding the stories held within the walls of our buildings has been a lifelong obsession. In this series, we're going to take you on a journey to explore not just our architectural structures, but also the social and cultural histories from which our buildings arise. We'll ask, what is Māori architecture? And celebrate some of our most stunning buildings. So you're making a series about Māori architecture. Question keeps coming up. What is our foremost achievement? What is it that we've built that echoes loudest down through the ages? Here's what I reckon. Our greatest legacy is this. Over the last millennium, our tupuna dramatically reshaped our hilltops and headlands. Armed with only wooden implements, they moved thousands of cubic metres of earth. In Auckland alone, there are 4 dozen volcanic peaks scattered across the isthmus. The Tamaki Makaurau region is one of the few cities in the world to be settled on a live volcanic plateau. From the time our ancestors first settled here 1,000 years ago, they claimed and shaped these volcanic cones in ways unseen anywhere else on the planet. Yet today, many Auckland locals are completely unaware of the landscape masterpieces that surround them.
So something that used to surprise me but now happens so much that it's no longer surprising is hearing people, even some very educated people who have grown up and lived around mountains like this one their whole lives, not realising that these things that we see, these terraces, the pits, the ditches, all of these features, that they're human-made.
The fortifications of many of Auckland's terraced hilltops are the design of one man. A master builder of pa, he came to Tamaki Makaurau around 6 centuries ago and carved his signature on the volcanic peaks he found. This man created profound engineering feats that are awe-inspiring to this day. His name was Titahi.
The terraced volcanic cones of Auckland have that collective name, Ngā Whakairoa Titahi, Titahi's carvings, and Maunga Kiaki especially is held up as the premier example, Te Whakairoa Titahi, Titahi's carving, said to resemble the shape of the moko on his face. And it doesn't take a great imagination when you're looking at an aerial photo of Maunga Kiaki to start, seeing how you could easily accommodate that within the shape of a human face. It's hard to say that he perhaps sort of invented, the shaping and the terracing and fortification of pa, but he certainly, took it to its ultimate extent and was the greatest exponent of that art. So yeah, he was the great architect, for Auckland, Kaipara and areas beyond.
Our relationship to the whenua is based on tupuna who lived, fought for, and died on this land. It's a relationship that can still clearly be seen here, carved into the maunga of our largest city. We're going to explore the architectural relationship that we as Māori have to the land. Starting here on the hilltops of Tamaki Makaurau with these spectacular feats of engineering and construction. Lasting through many centuries to be admired and enjoyed today. A permanent reminder of a human triumph from another age. Our ancestors' connection to the whenua was evident not just in the way they shaped the land, but also in their everyday lives. They slept on the ground, cooked on and under the ground, and ate on the ground. Māori were very much at one with the whenua. Here in the Urewera, in the shadow of the sacred mountain of Maunga Pohatu, is a beautiful little whare, almost unchanged in its years of existence. It's one of the last buildings still standing from the village that was created here by the prophet Ruakenana in the early 1900s. Initially used as a whare tūroro where the sick were isolated, this whare is a precious link to an almost forgotten architectural heritage. Its well-worn interior hinting of its use over a century ago. And this here is the pau tuarongo, which supports the tāhuhu, which runs the length of the whare. And of course a fire was lit in here while the karakia was had. And you can see the line of the smoke up here and where it's been rubbed off by the backs of the people in the whare. But the most significant thing about this whare is its original earth floor. Up until the 1920s, all of our whare like this. Now, very few left in the country. Here we've got the whare set well into the earth. Actually, probably the earth's been heaped up around the walls after construction to give us the thermal insulation, which was typical of whare in the southern part of the North Island. Together with the earth floor inside, this is a very unique whare, perhaps only one of two in the country with an original earth floor and original hewn timber construction. Obviously very important that we can save this whare and its incredible connection back to Papatūānuku. A reminder of the direct connection for our tūpuna between the whenua and the whare they created. But the dialogue between our buildings and the land is one that continues today. The Whanganui River. In the 19th century, this river was the main highway between Whanganui and Taumaranui. There were over 100 kāinga on both sides of the great river. But when the road was built on the east bank of the river, many marae on the west bank went into decline. Today, few marae are left on the west side of the river. But at Te Pōti, a very special wharenui has survived for a century and a half. A wharenui with a unique connection to Papatūānuku. So of course this was the main highway.
At the turn of the last century, it was all Patrick's riverboats used to proceed up this way to Taumaranui. So yes, this was a major stopping point on the way.
And of course with the road coming in, changed life on the far side of the river totally, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, with the introduction of the road, etc., what happened was there was obviously easier access to the settlements along here. So the settlements on that side of the river, where the Pipariki is now, got larger, whereas these settlements on this side of the river were basically abandoned.
All right, that's us. The village of Te Pōti is located opposite Pipiriki, near Jerusalem, and the heart of the Whanganui River. For a time during the land wars, the area was controlled by Pai Marire, or Hauhau. After hostilities had finished, the village was rebuilt. From the 1860s, Te Pōti and neighbouring kāinga had a population of several hundred residents who benefited greatly from the trade brought by traffic moving up and down the river.
Kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai, kia hia ke ana te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, ti hei, maureora.
The village no longer exists, but a remarkable reminder remains of a time when Te Pōti was a bustling papakainga. Only 3 buildings still stand here in Te Pōti. A pātaka, the remains of one of the cottages, and the wharenui, Te Koanga Rehua. Te Koanga Rehua was built in 1860. It's a small, low whare with 8 interior popo down each side of the house. But one of the things that makes Te Koanga Rehua unique, just like the wharepuni at Maunga Pohatu, is its original earth floor. Unlike almost every other wharenui built with earth floors, Te Koanga Rehua has never been renovated, and the original floor remains. So you can just see the some of the painted works.
Paintings here.
Just looking out there and looking at the The old brickworks out there, it just reminds me of what my mother and them must have lived through over here and my great-grandfather.
And of course, you know, having an earth floor, it's got that critical connection back to Papatūānuku that all our modern-day whare have really lost.
Yes. It's something very special, something that's unique to here. And I can remember my mother telling me that one of her tasks each day was to get the mānuka and sweep the floor because they had a house, but it wasn't wood, it was ponga, and then prepare and change the fern for the next evening. So all of this is special to us all.
As well as the earth floor, there's another very unique aspect to the architecture of this whare. In the 19th century, at the time Te Koanga was built, a number of European artists lived in the area, including renowned landscape artist John Gully. A closer look beneath the decades of dust covering the popo of this whare reveals a remaining legacy of one of these artists.
Was this one of the landscapes, is it? Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. They must have seen something special here in doing what they did, because it shows a complete history of the river and their life here. You have everything from flowers, birds to landscape designs. Poplar trees, the meeting house here, and now you start to see the bank
Yeah,
and the river with the rapids in it.
yeah. And quite classically painted. Yeah.
There are a lot of meeting houses with drawings in them, but none of them have the three-dimensional character that these paintings do.
This whare is unlike any other I've come across. With the move of the local population across the river many decades ago, the remaining buildings here fell into disrepair. But for those with links to this whenua, the desire to maintain and save Te Koanga keeps bringing them back to this special place.
When they built the hotel on the other side, the roads were put in, so the aim then was for the people to be over there. The action was there, the shops, buildings.
And the fact that, you know, this whare still stands, it's a you know, huge connection back to the time of your mother and your grandfather.
It was told to me once, my great-grandfather, Te Kepa, he used to sit on the seat out the front of the Piperiki house, and they said he used to look over to his kāinga Te Pōti with a sad look on his face.
All the memories coming back.
Yes, all the memories coming back. And so I think, yes, we do it for the generations now, but we do it also to honour our generations of the past.
Earth floors like the one here at Te Pōti used to be the norm in Wharenui. Now it's an extremely rare privilege to actually be able to visit a whare with an earth floor. Traditional power structures and their connection to the land are still a source of inspiration for architects today. Taking its inspiration from the whenua, this house in Flaxmill Bay on the Coromandel Peninsula uses the shape of the land to define the shape of the building. The house is literally built into the contours of the hill, drawing on the architecture of the terrace pā as its core design influence. Tokotea is Amanda's gift to her parents, designing them a home that encourages a strong relationship to the land. With the help of her auntie, Amanda consulted Ngāti Hei, the mana whenua of this area, before naming the whare.
So the Te Tokotea strongly connects back to the whenua?
Yes, absolutely. I wasn't sure what it would be, but I knew it had to be related both to the history of the inhabitation of this area, but also very specifically to this site. The house is sited on white rock, which extends through into the house really, and so Tokotea means white rock. The sloping wall was very much a response to coming on the site and seeing this big shoulder of white rock. It's worked really well in terms of making the space feel like it's pretty much an outdoor room.
And the original brief that you got from your parents, how specific was it?
It was pretty specific. Dad's a list man, you know, he had a whole sense of how they wanted to live. But it was also very simple. I mean, this house is really about trying to strip back and make a more simple life, you know. It's almost like batch living.
What Amanda and her mum and dad have done here is created a space where you feel as though you're just sitting on the rock on Tokatea in the bush, listening to the kihi-kihi or the tui, the kereru. And an occasional boat going by down below.
So Amanda, this part of the whare it's really connecting much more strongly to the pā landscape, and it gets a lot lighter as we head out.
That's right, yeah. So there's the concrete bench. So I was wanting to just pull the concrete up as a kind of folded landscape and then put the cooker and the sinks into it, sort of referencing the way Māori used to cook, you know, in the ground. So moving from that much heavier, kind of more constructed landscape into more transient, kind of lightweight architecture, and so that's what this timber area speaks to.
And I guess in those situations, as pā were built and rebuilt, the terracing remained the same often, and it was what happened on top which kept on being rebuilt and
that's right,
replaced.
and you know, and that was much more temporary kind of materials, you know, and plus more open spaces. And so that's what this dining space tries to do. It tries to blur the boundaries between inside and outside. In the West, there's this real separation between nature and culture, whereas Māori and Indigenous people generally have a different worldview, which sees us as being of the environment, being of the whenua. And so you don't distinguish between architecture and landscape, you know, you don't separate them out, rather you bring them together.
Toi tū te whenua.
Absolutely.
So here we've got a number of fundamentally different ways that we as architects approach our relationship to the whenua. Amanda Yates works with the existing contour and inserts her building into it. Whereas traditionally, we'd carve out the whenua and actually build our whare on the terrace we've created. But there's a third way. It means working with the whenua that you're building on and effectively building out of Papatūānuku itself. Here in Northland's Ahipara, work is well underway on a house built both on and of the whenua. It takes the ancient technique of shaping the land and goes a step further, pulling the land up around us like a cloak. The basic building blocks of this earth house or whare uku are all from the land and include earth, cement and local harakeke. Whare uku presents new answers to the challenge of creating sustainable, durable and affordable housing. It's a new take on working with the whenua, and for a community like this at Ahipara, represents a whole new approach to creating quality housing on whānau land. Reuben and Henny Porter returned from living overseas to establish a new life on their Te Rarawa land here at Ngā Kāroa. They had a strong desire to be as self-sufficient as possible. They're developing this land and building their own whare uku to live in, a building typology they hope will provide an economic base for the hapu.
The vision was about getting our whānau into decent housing and us having the necessary skills to build our homes ourselves and long-lasting. A big take for us in the north is how there isn't much on the kāinga for people to live in. So we see people living in skyline garages and shacks and huts, and we thought, come on, we're a bit more onto it than that. Let's look at ways of building something that our whānau can live in that's cheap, that looks good, that's practical, functional, and is going to last a long time. We built our house so it was owned by the whānau trust, not owned by Ruben and I as individuals, and trying to use our Māori way of doing things, our tikanga, as a guideline on how we're going to build homes into the future.
What I want here is to stay here. My family have been here for 20 generations, and what we're doing here is ensuring that we maintain our stance here. And I like whare uku because it's built on a strong foundation, it's solid. You know, the amount of work that we put into these foundations, they're very thick, they're very strong. These walls are very strong.
Whare uku combine the use of materials gathered from the whenua with a straightforward production process for a cost-effective, durable house. Uku mix includes muka flax fibre, cement and earth. Many skills and resources have been drawn upon to make this house, including a partnership with the University of Auckland. Ruben's cousin Clem has also added confidence to the project with his experience in building earth houses in Australia.
I'm quite impressed with it, especially who we had involved at the time. We had a bunch of young kids who've never done this type of mahi before, and I think they were pretty much excited too as well, and they can actually put their name to it and say, well, I did this, I was involved in this, and that sort of makes me pretty proud too as well.
Having our young people a part of our kaupapa, giving them a place, giving them something to aspire to, you know, they add character to you. You walk taller.
Koena.
Ai, koena.
And of course, a big aspect of uku construction is you're building with the whenua, but you're also building on the whenua, so you're not perched up above the site. You know, you're able to expand straight out into it.
Yes, we chose this spot because there's a tikanga, there's a wairua, there's a karanga about this place. We said, no, let's go there. So not only the house we had to build, we had to put roads in, put drains across, access into here, was gorse and everything around here. We had to clear it through, excavate this land. But that 1.5 meters of whenua that we've excavated, we just used it again to build this. Yep. This is our material.
Yep.
We use these plans basically to map out every step of putting this whare together, right down to which wall was going to go first. Very simple layout. It's easier for us to put up. I can't build a mansion. I'm not interested in building a mansion. Yeah. I'm building somewhere that's got character and strength for my family to live in.
So this is the kitchen dining room here, eh?
Yes, that's correct. Big kitchen. I want a big kitchen because I want to treat my my guests, my manuhiri properly. Yeah. It's important that this is it's got a good wairua to it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's nice and generous and people come straight into the kitchen
that's
dining.
A good word. Aye, generous. And this is the main area for our whānau to come in and noho and kōrero. I suppose you call it a living room. Yep. And it's got big open doorways, making sure that the people that come in here feel welcome.
Yep. And marae style sleeping here?
Yeah, sleeping, open sleeping, put everybody in here together. Place the kōrero on a hapu level, not on a iwi level. That's for our marae, that's the job for our marae to do in our taumata. They do that.
This flows straight out into the
yep, straight out onto the whenua.
With the whenua, eh?
There's, again, big doorways, you know, big beautiful view. You don't want to lock it down with a big wall. You have a look, you know, even though it's 100 square metres, I've cut down the amount of compartments.
Yep. And no hallway.
No hallway. What I don't want is, I don't want my family to be inside this house on a beautiful, in a beautiful land like this. We need to be out here experiencing who we are. This is the place to learn who we are, is out here. This place is somewhere for us to come in and sleep,
refuge.
Eat. Yep. Get our energies back in again, but not for us to sit in here and play, watch TV all day on these computers and everything like that. Hopefully I can share this and give this to our whānau, because my whānau, my hapu and iwi are strong it will benefit me because they will create strong families that will be around my children.
Yep.
And us as a community, we will all be strong.
Using the land to create structures, just like Titahi when he created the magnificent terraces on the maunga of Tamaki Makaurau, the whenua speaks to the heart of how we as Māori feel about our connection to Papatūānuku to this day. It's a connection that we're going to see throughout our journey through Māori architecture.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.